That leads us into personal workplace boundaries. So work boundaries support us in safeguarding our time, our energy, and our overall self. Healthier boundaries are clearly linked to a positive work-life balance. Some work boundaries are functional and clear, so you might have to go every day. I always needed to leave at 10 to 5 on the dot to collect my children. That was a non-negotiable for me. I didn't have a choice in that matter. Others are more intangible and flexible, so such as you try generally not to take books home, but suddenly you change your mind when you get the Ofsted call and you think, well, I need to do some marking because I haven't done any for a couple of weeks. So without these boundaries, there's no recharge time. So that leads to a lot more stress and a lot more potential illness as well. So it is tricky as a teacher because the lines are so blurred. And I've had jobs where I've been up to midnight, lesson planning, ready for the next day. And I think as well, there's quite a lot of martyrs in education. So you get those teachers, it's almost a badge of honour to be the last to leave. And sometimes there's a bit of a culture of working hard or saying you're working hard or pointing out why you worked harder than someone else, which isn't very helpful either. But of course, we all have a lot of value that we can't see ourselves. And I speak to people in other professions and they're like, well, I don't work for free. And like, well, it's a bit difficult in teaching because it's so, you know, if we worked out how much we actually earn per hour, it wouldn't be as much as we think. I think if we actually worked it out over a month in comparison to how much we paid, I think our hourly rate would be quite small. So it might be an interesting exercise to have a go at. So there's a couple of ideas I've got for you to try. So first of all is understanding your worth. So even if no one else at work does, we need to be aware and appreciate what we can offer. So if people at work are not understanding your worth, then it's time to reevaluate where you're working, because it might be that if you were picked up and put in an entirely different situation, that you'd be a lot more appreciated. And if people aren't understanding your worth, quite often it's because you're in the wrong place. So it's a good idea to reflect on that. Think things through before saying yes. Pause, reflect, and then decide. So it's no problem saying, oh, can I come back to you later? Instead of just saying yes straight away. So I'm a bit of a, somebody else said it then, a bit of a yes person. So it's quite tricky sometimes to actually say no. But if you say all the time, oh, I'll come back to you later with that, then you can actually go and think about the situation without them being standing in front of you waiting for an answer. So try and get into that habit. Don't apologise for setting those boundaries. It's very easy to start a conversation with, I'm sorry, but I can't do this because, which kind of leaves you on defence when you need to assert, because actually you don't need to apologise for setting your own boundaries. So if you can avoid saying I'm sorry at the start of the sentence, then that's helpful. It's okay to change your mind. So if you agree to something and you think, oh, I really shouldn't have done that, it's okay to change your mind. It's up to you. It's okay to ask for a deadline extension, and it's okay to state that you cannot fit all the work in. And I think the more we communicate these things, the more people need to start listening to our work-life balance concerns. Identify your non-negotiables. So write them out, make them pretty, print them out, and or stick them on the wall of your classroom, and then you will see every day what your non-negotiables are for your boundaries, and then anybody else in your classroom as well can also see what they are as well. And no doubt a few people go, oh, that's a really good idea, and maybe I should try and stick to something similar as well. Same as identifying those communication boundaries, as we said before, so not reading school emails after 5:30 and before 7:30. And I'm probably the worst for this, and I never stuck to this at all. I used to, particularly as I worked part-time, I practically did a full-time job, so I was just working from home all the time to stop the emails piling up, because it stressed me out to have all those emails on a Monday morning waiting for me. But a healthy boundary would be not to read them between certain times or at weekends, etc. Recognise the warning signs of stress in yourself before it leads to something a bit more serious, such as burnout. So if you write down how you behave when you are stressed, then it might help you recognize those situations, and then you can actually take a step back and look at it a bit more objectively and see what you can do about that situation.